So there'll be a safety board and an accident board. So they were going from Creech. It was a nighttime mission, and it was headed to Miramar. There you go. Yeah. And it sounds like it was nighttime. It was snowing in the region at the time. Very, very bad weather conditions-ish. And they were found, it was a whole thing about they couldn't find them. They found the wreckage at first, which is obviously they found it from the air. And then once they got the ground team there. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit with you, Daniel. Again, we're not speculating. I'm just, as a helicopter guy, inadvertent IMC is a big thing, even when you have an instrument rating, because it's not as forgiving as a jet that's at 20,000 feet, where you're on autopilot. These guys are probably on NVGs, being that it was at night mission and in bad weather, or at least some areas had bad weather. They found them in a snowy area. Daniel, what do you think, considerations wise, for a sortie like that and a helicopter that big? What are you kind of thinking there?
Why did they have to do it? If the weather was bad, they knew it, that storm was rolling in on Southern California at that time. Man, postpone everything for a day or two. It's SoCal, it's Nevada. It's always 360 days a year. It's severe clear. That's 1, 2, and you're right. With goggles, you can be deep into IMC before you realize it, especially up in the mountains. Some places not well lit. 3, that's an old airframe. So how much is it really? Is the autopilot, the navigation system, up to speed, so to speak? Like the EC-145 that fly now, it's Spiffer. It's single pilot IFR rated, and it's got the GPS and all that good stuff in it, and all with 2 autopilots and the whole 9 yards. But that's an old aircraft. Does it really have the IFR capability? And then 4, what if they ran into ice? Does it have de-ice? The Apache had it, and the Blackhawks have it, but we never used it. They disabled it early on. Our original Apaches, Alpha models, when we got them, they disabled the anti-ice because 1, we were in Texas, so we didn't need it. 2, it's a maintenance nightmare to keep that stuff up, inspected, keep it going and all that when you don't really use it. So I don't know about a 53, the Echo, which is their newest one, I can imagine that all that stuff, was it IFR, IMC capable? Did it have de-ice and ice? There's a lot. And, to sit there and speculate, like I said, we don't know really why it went down.
It could be mechanical. It's just really bad terrain. Nighttime. Now, granted, combat waits for nobody. We have to fly at night because nighttime's when a lot of that. I did see an article, or not an article, but maybe a comment about whether this was more fallout from the grounding of the Osprey, right? Because now that the Osprey's not flying, the 53's picking up the load, so to speak, you still have to move troops. You still have to, the show keeps going, even if you don't have the airplane. So now, you're using this aircraft where you might not have otherwise.
If it only had the minimal crew in there, the 2 pilots and the 3 crew dogs in the back. So obviously they weren't moving people. Now, as for cargo, who knows? But still, wait. It's not combat.
Yeah.
Wait a couple of days. The mission doesn't have to be done. It's not combat. It's here in the United States. No, it is California, but
that path, their flight path, during challenging weather in a helicopter at night, those are some big mountains. 53 is a very powerful helicopter, but we're talking some really, really big mountains. And if you throw wintry weather conditions in there, and then like you said, Daniel, even if it has some sort of anti-ice capability, I'm sure it's not robust. And then, like you said, it's not wartime, so it'll be interesting. It's sad. It'll just be interesting to see really what happened to those guys. And for the people trying to, it's because we don't have the Osprey. I don't know. If I'm a 53 pilot and I don't like what it looks like, I don't care. I don't care about the Osprey.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going. So
It kind of goes in, you know, how young was the crew? Did they take the mission because like, wow, you know, if I want to stay as, you know, stay in this position or whatever, I better take it. And it all goes downhill from there. Like, you know,
Yeah.
don't, you know,
Yeah.
did they,
I don't want
Yeah.
to say that about the crew just based
Yeah.
on we don't know. And
Yeah, we don't know.
There's any number of factors that can come into play. I mean, that being one of them. Human factors are always, you know, usually one of the primary concerns, but
Yeah.
it's just it's a tough scenario to kind of wrap your mind around, because you wonder what could we have done differently, and that the only way we're gonna, you know, find that out is let the investigators do their thing.
Yeah.
Their thing. But
well,
just the basics, the night, terrain, weather, all that stuff is already kind of painting a picture of this would have been a very challenging flight, no matter what.
having in Navy safety school, we talked about several 53 accidents, and the moral of the story is everything could have been just fine. There could have just been a, you know, some mechanical thing, failure, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Like you said, we're going to find out, and hopefully, you know, hopefully it's something that will prevent, you know, this from happening again. That's always the goal, at least in aviation.
Yeah. Very sad.